I'd like to see a happy family, whichever way it is possible. I do not want a situation like America. I do not want a situation which is too binding like a joint family. And in a joint family, there are a lot of compromises. So I don't really approve of the concept of joint family, therefore. Family unit is getting smaller and smaller day by day. There will be a time in future where I think a nuclear family is going to be the most acceptable form of a family.
One billion people. Obviously, in a society as large, diverse and complex as India, change takes place at a different pace and at different levels of the population. Even talking of a 300 million urban population in the singular is impossible. That is more than the population of most countries of the world.
Much of what has happened in this country, in terms of change, happened after the British came. Much rapid transformation took place after we became independent. A large number of urban families increasingly will have somebody outside the household. Within the country, a couple of thousand kilometers away, and invariably outside the country.
The most visible impact of change is the world's fastest growing population of elders. Better health standards have increased life expectancy. It is a new scenario for the middle and aged generation of urban India. The aged are not bedridden, but active at a slower pace. Occupational demands leave the middle generation no time for caring. Unwittingly, overpowering trends eclipse the spotlight on wisdom and age.
There are two values which are so fundamental to the Indian society. One is hierarchy. Hierarchy means ordering of things in a superior-inferior relationship. Everything in India is hierarchized, including the relationship within the family. The other value is holism, which is the tendency to believe that the group is more important than the individual. So the individual's life will have to be a life of devotion, of commitment, of service to the society. Now you will find increasingly, because people are living away from their traditional context of village, of community, of religious context, people are becoming more and more inward looking, person oriented. So what is important is me and probably my immediate family, meaning my wife and children.
Even so, compared to other societies, the family in India is remarkably stable. The root household of the middle class may be spatially distributed, but Indian people's lives are still family-centered. Mr. S.K. Pandey's family is not just these three. Pallavi, his married daughter, is in the US, mother and brother in Lucknow, son Kapil, almost ready for a job, his mother Ragini, a devoted homemaker, Revenue Service Officer Mr. Pandey, constrained by a transferable job. His personal life focused in Lucknow, where his aging mother and handicapped brother live on their own, though amidst a large and familiar clan of kith and kin.
पांडे जी तो वो तो कहते हैं हमारे साथ रहो, लेकिन ऐसा है अभी हाथ पर हमारे भी चल रहे हैं, इसका तो हम खुद सहारा बने। इसी दुविधा में वो भी रहते हैं, कहते हैं एक साथ रहना चाहिए। फिर अब जब इनका मन देखता है तो कहता नहीं, जो इसकी इच्छा उस तरह रहो, जब तक हाथ पर चलते हैं, फिर आगे देखा जाएगा। आगे के ईश्वर पर छोड़ दिया। हमारी एज तो है ही कि हम दूसरे का सहारा हमें लेना पड़ेगा। ये तो है ही ऐसे, अगर ज़िंदगी ज़्यादा है तो हाथ पैर नहीं चले तो बच्चों का भी तो ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा। उनको यहाँ कैसे बुला लें, तो उसी के साथ रहेंगे, वो हम कैसे कहें, सर्विस में है ना। उम्मीद तो भाई सभी तरह की है, जब कहीं हम अटकेंगे तो वो सहारा बने हर जगह, पैसे से शक्ति से सब जगह का सहारा बनेगा। जब हम कहीं पे अटक जाएंगे तब।
उन्होंने अपनी भूमिका बखूबी निभाई है, तो उन्होंने हमको मॉरल सपोर्ट दिया, टोटल सपोर्ट। तो उन्होंने तो अपनी भूमिका एकदम जैसे नॉर्मली निभानी चाहिए निभाई है। नहीं डिस्कस हुआ इसके बारे में, तो उन्होंने कहा जब तक अलग अलग रह के प्रॉब्लम अपनी अपनी सॉल्व कर सकता है आदमी तब तक बेटर है, उसके बाद जब नहीं चल पाएगा तो इकट्ठे रहेंगे।
In Delhi, the couple is invariably enmeshed in unexpected personal decisions. Who needs attention? The son who is on the threshold of life, some crisis of mother, brother, or maybe Ragini's aged mother who has no other children and also lives in Lucknow, absolutely alone.
दुविधा यही रहती है, चाहते हैं कि उन लोगों के साथ रहें, उन लोगों को हमारी ज़रूरत है, उनकी अब है इसमें ओल्ड एज है तो उनकी मदद करें, जाके उनकी सेवा करें, लेकिन साथ में बेटे की रहती है कि उसकी एजुकेशन यहाँ है, उसको भी नहीं छोड़ सकते। वही है, इसकी एजुकेशन पूरी हो जाएगी उसके बाद देखेंगे।
हमारी मजबूरी है, हम दिल्ली में, हम लखनऊ में हमेशा हो नहीं सकते।
Distance has weakened family structures, but not yet broken them.
साथ खाना या साथ रहना वो अब आज के हालात में पॉसिबल नहीं। अपनी फैमिली को मैं जॉइंट फैमिली मानता हूँ।
For the Pandays, family extends to cousins, in-laws and their families. Staying together through thick and thin gives them satisfaction and inner peace. They are convinced that life without an extended family would be a painful vacuum. Obviously, Mr. Pandey takes his familial duties seriously, even while he remains quite conscious of the changing world and what lies ahead.
हमारे फादर की काफ़ी लंबी बीमारी चली, तो उस समय जो ज़रूरी था, जो हमें को करना था, वो किया। लेकिन बच्चे हो जाने के बाद जिम्मेदारी बच्चों की ही तरफ महसूस की। बच्चों की जिम्मेदारी ख़त्म होने के बाद ऐसा सोचते हैं कि भाई और माँ के प्रति जो अब वक्त बचेगा, एक दफ़े बेटा इंडिपेंडेंट हो जाए, अपने पैरों पे खड़ा हो जाए, उसके बाद इन दोनों के बीच में ज़रूरत के हिसाब से चलते रहेंगे। ओपननेस बढ़ रही है माँ बाप और बच्चों के बीच में, सोच में फ़र्क आ रहा है। तमाम बातें पुरानी जनरेशन्स को चूँकि अपने समाज में रहते थे, तो वो तमाम काम हमसे वो कराना चाहते थे जो समाज चाहता है, वो खुद नहीं चाहते। हम शायद वो भी नहीं चाहेंगे। इतना फ़र्क आ जाएगा, थोड़ा बच्चों को और रिस्ट्रिक्शंस कम हो जाएंगे, इंडिपेंडेंस मिल जाएगी, शायद रिलेशंस और ओपन हो जाएंगे और फ्रैंक और अच्छे हो जाएंगे।
Mr. Pandey feels, though he grew up in an orthodox home, he was blessed with a communicative relationship with his father, and that the love and care he got from his parents is probably the reason why the slightest excuse draws him and family to the secure world of kith and kin in Lucknow. Thinking and feeling for others, caring for them, is not a demand he fulfills, maybe a return gift for all the love he got as a child.
समाज में हर आदमी के लिए आजकल अपने से आगे देख पाना बहुत मुश्किल हो रहा है। लोगों की प्रायोरिटीज़ भी बदल रही हैं। लोग ये चाहते हैं कि हमारी सुख सुविधा ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है हमारे नियर एंड डियर की ख़ास ज़रूरतों से। वही रिश्ते कमज़ोर हो जाते हैं, वही टूटने लगते हैं।
In spite of having fulfilled his duties and roles, Mr. Pandey feels a certain inadequacy at this stage of his life.
रिश्ते और बंधनों के बारे में कोई डर नहीं है। डर किसी तरह का नहीं है। बस एक चीज़ कभी कभी महसूस होती है कि जिंदगी में किया क्या, किया कुछ नहीं। आए जो दुनिया करती है वही किया। वो सवाल अब उठने लगा है कुछ सालों से।
See, if there is too much of collectivism, then the possibility of individual development and growth will be stunted. On the other hand, if there is too much of individualism, then you ignore your immediate people, be it parents, be it siblings, and that will create a wound in the family situation. And that cannot easily be healed. And therefore, we must think in terms of carrying everybody together.
The collective concept is changing from the horizontal joint family where brothers with families live together to the vertical intergenerational joint family where 3-4 generations live together, like the Jains. Dr. S.K. Jain is a renowned ophthalmologist. His wife, Prabha, assists him in the clinic. Amma Ji is the grand old matriarch, proud of her grandson, Sudeep, also an ophthalmologist. He is married to the creative Manisha, both custodians of the youngest generation, Aditya and Divij. The older part of Delhi, where Dr. Jain was born, is dear to him and his mother. When Dr. Jain's son grew up, the Jains shifted to a less congested part of the city. But he remains loyal to his old clientele, for whom the clinic is a familiar place. But little else has changed in the lives of the Jains, whether it is courteousness, religious thinking, mutual understanding, even compromise. Anything that can retain the unity of the family as an institution has value for them.
Since I have only one child, our whole devotion was towards him, and we wanted him to be a good citizen of the country and well educated and follow my line of ophthalmology. We always told him that since he is the only child, he has to look after us very well. He is the only support to us in the future, and be respectful to your mother and father. Looking at the other people's home and how the parents are being neglected in the old age, so one does have a fear in mind that they will take care of us as we have taken care of our parents. They are doing their best, and we are a very happy living family. It's very difficult to annoy them also and be in the same family as such. We do listen to them. We respect their views.
In fact, there is little that Dr. Jain needs to worry about.
Okay, one has to see where they are right, where they are wrong. There's a difference in opinions. Obviously, there's a lot of generation gap. Now we have come into a jet age. The values are changing very fast. But one has to see what lies in future for him. The way I'll behave with my parents and my grandparents, same way my children are going to behave with me. But this is what is our Indian tradition, Indian values. This sentimental and emotional attachment to our elders as well as to our children. This is what counts in India. One thing I really respect what my elders have done for me. Those values have come in me passively. They have not been forced upon me. When as a couple, I also wanted that we should have some freedom. But till we had children, when we had children of our own, then we realized if we are going to do something which is against our values, then those things will go into my children also.
The Jains are highly conscious of the threats that impact a traditional household, Western culture, glamorous television, and so on. Each generation pays a lot of attention to ensure a passive learning process and retain their family values. Sudeep and Manisha hope that in spite of the new world, their children will imbibe the concepts of adjustment, self-control, tolerance and caring that Ammaji has passed on to them, so that their family does not break apart like many do.
वो टूट इसलिए रहा है कि बहू कहती मैं सत्ता रखूं और सास कहती मैं सत्ता रखूं, इसीलिए टूटता जा रहा है। वरना अगर मिलजुल कर रहे, एक दूसरे को सहन शक्ति अपने अंदर रखे, तो परिवार कभी नहीं टूट सकता।
As an institution, the family unit is permanent, but associations within the family do undergo change. Dr. Jain's wife, Prabha, is in the peculiar position of the middle generation, a daughter-in-law and mother-in-law at the same time. She attends to her task of responding to change very seriously, because she is consciously aware that it will impact the future structure of her family unit.
मेरे को तो जैसे वो कहती थी मुझे वैसे ही करना पड़ता था, मैं अपनी तरीके से नहीं चल सकती थी। पर आज मेरे को पहले ही जब मैं अपनी बहू के साथ हूँ तो मुझे अपनी बहू का फीलिंग्स का ज़्यादा ख्याल करना पड़ता है। अब बहुओं को ये फीलिंग नहीं है कि सास बुरा मान जाएंगी, ये कंसेप्ट तो अब ख़त्म ही हो गया। अब तो ये है कि एक दूसरे के फीलिंग्स का ही ध्यान करना है। अगर हम उनसे अच्छे रहेंगे तो वो हमसे अच्छी रहेंगी, अगर हम उनसे अच्छे नहीं रहेंगे तो वो हमसे अच्छी नहीं रहेंगी।
What my grandmother went through, my grandmother-in-law went through in her married life was very, very, very conservative as compared to how my mother-in-law was treated, and they still adjusted. In the sense, I can't even dream of wearing a sari, sitting in a, like, of course I wear a sari, but you know, a sari with a long ghungat, sitting in the kitchen and serving everybody. My mother-in-law did that. For me, it's unthinkable. If you want, your priorities are like a good married life, you have to adjust. The generation above us, they are a lot friendlier now. And you know that relationship of saas bahu wala thing, it's no longer there, I think.
जो एक जनरेशन गैप है वो तो देखिए रहेगा ही, पर ये कि उसको भी सुलझाते हुए हमें अपने को पुरानी चीज़ों को थोड़ा ख़त्म करके जो आजकल का मॉडर्न ज़माना है उसके अनुसार हमें भी अपने को थोड़ा बदलाव लाना ज़रूरी है। जो हमारी जनरेशन है उसको थोड़ा बदलना पड़ेगा, तभी हम लोगों की फैमिलीज, जॉइंट फैमिली सक्सेसफुल हो सकती हैं। हम पुराने विचारों में वैसे ही बने रहेंगे तो बिल्कुल नहीं चल पाएगा।
Earlier, the husband-wife relationship was highly hierarchical. Now, the wives are increasingly demanding that they should be equal. They are also educated. So, both are working outside, and therefore, the wife doing all the family chores is something which is becoming increasingly unacceptable. Earlier, if I got a good job, it is not enough that I look after my wife and children. I must part with part of that. So my fortune is not entirely my fortune. It is my family's fortune. I have to share. That tendency would mean that I have to be oriented to the community, to the family. That is also changing. So these two trends simultaneously operating, the tendency to be asking for equality, the tendency to be insisting on individualism, together is creating tensions in the family.
When people only earned from farming, the family was both the collective group for earning and the immediate familiar group for social interaction. In the industrial world, it is not the family, but an individual who works and earns. And individuals in today's world cannot be spared the process or impact of competitive globalization. The Vijaykars belong to today's competitive world and need to prepare Arnav, their son, for a different society than today. Aditi will play an important role in that identity formation even as she works as much as Ashish, her husband and friend. Life in the Vijaykar home is an increasingly familiar and common story. Rushed mornings, long working days, dependence on unpredictable domestic help for children, harassed evenings. Changed situations that the nuclear family generation has to deal with as practical reality.
Things have changed and maybe we should just accept that it's maybe a change for the better. Why do we look at it negatively that things are breaking down, and the fact that there are nuclear families now is a big negative? Maybe it's healthier. Maybe people get along a lot better because they have the right to do what they want to do and they are people that they really want to be. They are not being forced to be this quiet little bahu who has to go with the ghungat and cannot talk to her father-in-law straight. I think it's just healthy. I mean, now people have the independence to make their choice. They're happier people. If I had family, I would have definitely been a lot more comfortable. In terms of, say, sharing, friendliness, etc., yes, I would see my child growing up in maybe a healthier environment. But then there are negatives where you may have to make certain compromises or adjustments because there are so many people that you have to think of. So each side of it does have its pluses and negatives. And we, I think, are a nuclear family more because of professional circumstances. Actually, we've never really discussed it with elders. But yes, between Ashish and me, we've always thought that it's important that I have my choice and I decide my comfort level.
The working Indian woman is no longer an oddity. Like almost every urban household would have someone living away, so would almost every urban home have a working woman. Aditi was confronted by friends and family like most women are. How can you continue working and leave your precious child behind? What if something happens? Aditi is not too worried. She is confident that in spite of her demanding lifestyle, she will rear her son to be a balanced individual. Her travels abroad have given her a perception of faith in the Indian value system.
And I think we'll be able to hold these family values a lot in a stronger fashion than maybe the West. So I think the Indian society, the way it is, has maybe matured in a very good way. So you're handling professional work and family life reasonably well.
Aditi and Ashish believe one should make one's own choices, be able to live with those choices, not regret them later in life. Circumstances have changed the definitions of family. They also seem to have changed the definition of sanskar, the culturally inherited form of conduct.
To my mind, sanskar is a way of doing things. There are some people who would like to do a task or do a thing in a particular manner. Some people would hate it. I don't think there is one best way of living your personal life. So I think it's an overrated concept because, yes, the portion which guides you, as long as it's guide, it's fine. When it comes to pushing you to do things you don't want to do, I think I'd draw a line at that stage. I mean, when I aspire for independence, it's not something I'm aspiring for the next year or 2 years or 5. I would like to be independent for the rest of my life. Now, if you are looking at being independent, unfortunately today, financial independence is the first thing that you think of. If you ask me for my aspiration, that's where I want to be.
Ashish does not limit the concept of independence to himself.
I would like my child to be around me for the rest of his life, as things stand today. But I think what I would not compromise on the fact that he should be an independent individual. If he has certain likes and dislikes, he should be free to follow them. If that means, not being part of this family unit physically, I don't think I would stand in his way. If someone says that joint family is better, sure, it probably is for them. It works for them. Right now, it wouldn't work for me. But it's not something I need to justify.
In India, we cannot stop the process of individualization or individualism. At the same time, we cannot hold on to the old value of too much of collectivism, attachment to the family, sacrificing everything without taking into account your own case. We have to work out a via media.
Studies suggest that the response to modernization in India may differ from the Western model. As the family space shrinks at this transitional stage, the question is no longer of what is right or wrong, but of what is most suitable and valuable.